All right, let's talk about a story that feels more like it was ripped straight from a Hollywood script than real life. The setting? A Sunday morning in Paris. And the target? Well, it's only the most famous museum in the entire world. Let's just start with a number. 88 million euros. That's the estimated value of what was taken. It's a staggering amount of money, for sure. But the real loss here, it isn't just financial. It's an irreplaceable piece of France's history, just gone. And here's the part that makes this whole story so unbelievable. The thieves were in and they were out in under 8 minutes. I mean, that's less time than it takes most of us to decide what to watch on Netflix. They did this at the Louvre with thousands of people around, and then they just vanished. So what exactly did they risk it all for? Not just any old bling. They were after the legendary crown jewels of France. And to really get what was at stake, you first have to understand where these jewels were kept. Welcome to the Apollo Gallery. Seriously, look at this place. Before the famous Hall of Mirrors at Versailles ever existed, this was the blueprint. It was this blazing corridor of gold and art, literally designed by the Sun King himself to scream royal power. It was a treasure box built specifically to hold other treasures. First up on their shopping list, these incredible emeralds. We're talking about a wedding gift from Napoleon Bonaparte himself to his second wife. That necklace alone is worth around 25 million euros. It's just an absolute monument to the power and the crazy wealth of his empire. They also made off with this historic sapphire set. This wasn't just jewelry, it was passed down through generations of French queens. It had a tiara, a necklace, and here's a weird detail, they only took a single earring. Was that a mistake in their rush or something else? And the final part of the haul belonged to Empress Eugenie, France's last empress. The numbers here are just dizzying. A tiara with almost 2,000 diamonds, and this one bow-shaped brooch with nearly 2,500 more. The craftsmanship is just unreal. So we know what they stole. But now for the big question, how in the world did they possibly pull it off? Let's break down how this incredibly audacious heist actually went down. Okay, so the plan was actually pretty simple, but brutally effective. First, the disguise, construction workers. I mean, it's Paris, they're everywhere. They used a furniture lift to get up to a balcony, bypassing ground floor security. Then, brute force. They used an industrial-grade cutter to just smash their way through a window. They were inside for only 4 minutes. 4 minutes, slicing open cases, grabbing the jewels, and then they were back down the lift and gone on motor scooters. A perfect mix of low-tech tools and high-speed execution. You know, the French culture minister at the time said it best. Her quote was, "No violence, very professional." And that's what's so chilling. They threatened the guards with their power tools, sure, but they never used them on anyone. They were there for one thing and one thing only, and they executed that plan with a cold, calculated precision. So the jewels are gone, Paris is in shock, and the hunt begins. And what came next would expose a story that wasn't just about a crime, but about years of neglect and some really, really astonishing security failures at what's supposed to be the world's greatest museum. You know, we all have this image of the Louvre as this impenetrable fortress, right? A cultural vault. But this heist just shattered that myth. The hard reality was that this global icon had been left shockingly vulnerable by years of ignored warnings and a total failure to invest in even basic security. Think about this for a second. Only 39% of the rooms in the Louvre had security cameras. In one of the most important museums on Earth, home to priceless artifacts, nearly 2/3 of the building had no camera surveillance whatsoever. That figure is just staggering. And oh, trust me, it gets worse. A security audit over a decade before this happened warned of serious security flaws. But on the day of the heist, the one camera that was in the Apollo Gallery, it was facing the wrong direction. And the password to get into the entire surveillance system, you're not gonna believe this, it was literally Louvre. But for all their professional planning, the thieves made one simple, sloppy mistake. In their race to get away, one of them dropped a helmet, and that helmet contained the one thing they couldn't scrub away, their DNA. That one mistake would be the key that unlocked the entire case. And once the police had that DNA, the dominoes started to fall, and fast. Within a week, they had their first 2 suspects. One was even caught at the airport trying to get out of the country. By the end of November, just about a month later, police were confident they had the entire 4-person team in custody. So, the arrests were made, but the jewels are still missing. And this heist leaves behind a much bigger question, one that forces us to look back more than a century to another impossible theft that happened in the very same building. So, a brazen, seemingly impossible theft from the Louvre. Has the museum ever been this vulnerable before? The answer is a big, resounding yes. And it involves the most famous painting in the world. Way back in 1911, a former employee basically just hid in a closet overnight. And when the museum was closed, he took the Mona Lisa right off the wall, tucked it under his work clothes, and just walked out the door. The simplicity of it is just mind-blowing. The parallels here are just fascinating. You've got one heist by an insider using stealth, and the other by outsiders using brute force. The weird thing is, the Mona Lisa theft is what made the painting a global icon. This modern heist, though, all it did was expose a deeply flawed system. But both crimes reveal the exact same shocking vulnerability. And that is the real takeaway here. These weren't high-tech masterminds disabling laser grids like in the movies. In 1911, it was an unlocked door. In 2025, it was a camera facing the wrong way and a password you could guess on your first try. In both cases, the world's greatest museum was defeated by the simplest, most basic human oversights.
Which really leaves us with this final, kind of unsettling question. The Louvre is now pouring tens of millions into security upgrades, of course, but after being humbled not once, but twice by criminals who just exploited the most basic flaws imaginable, can we ever really be certain that our shared cultural heritage is truly secure?